Y'all take a look at the ground right here. I don't know if y'all see that. There's a better look at it. One of the animals is having diarrhea, and so I'm not sure what that's about. I don't see any more diarrhea on the field other than that, and so I'm gonna have to keep an eye on the animals. And if the animals start having a large amount of diarrhea, you can actually tell, because on their rear end it'll look like a windshield wiper. They'll have what I call mud butt. They'll have diarrhea all over their rear end, and so I don't think my animals are having diarrhea in mass. It might actually be this animal right here having the diarrhea. You see him right there, how he's got the poop stuck to his tail, so he might be having diarrhea. But I'm keeping a close eye on my animals to make sure that nobody's having acidosis. I did increase their grain rations. I got this bale of hay out here for them. And so I've increased their grain rations. And so yesterday I was talking about this idea that when you take a look at what I'm doing in terms of a fundamental concept, if you take a look at the idea for what it is, all right, and I don't think, I think that this is very important to put a lot of emphasis on, because something like this, as it stands today, it doesn't matter what you do. If you're looking to become this successful at anything, it doesn't, and I've already said, you probably don't want, but in terms of a fundamental reality, looking to become the best at anything, it's going to be just as hard. It doesn't matter what you do. If you want to become the best cattleman on the entire planet, it's going to be just as hard as becoming the best, basketball player on the planet. It's going to be just as hard as becoming the best rocket scientist on the entire planet. It's going to be just as hard as becoming the best whatever on the entire planet. I mean, it's going to be there. It's all just as hard. And so, and when you take a look at this in terms of a different aspect, even this right here, when you're taking a look at just this right here, we're talking about a 0.00001% success rate. That's what the success rate is. And I've talked about my future plans. What do I plan to do with what I'm doing, and what am I looking to do? And when we talk about the things that I'm looking to do, the success rate actually drops to 0.00001%. And so when you take a look at what I'm doing and what I got going on and everything that I got going on moving forward, in terms of a reality, if we actually look at it for what it is, the success rate is somewhere between 0.00001% to 0.00001%. That's the chances of anybody making it to this level. All right. I mean, if we just take a look at it for what it is in terms of an information, in terms of a numerical statistic, if we're going to take a look at this in terms of like a perspective, like what does it look like when you make it like this? Effectively, I don't know anybody else, not a single person. I don't know anybody else, not legitimately, not even one person. I don't know a single person that can make that made it like me. Not a single one. How many people do I know right now that it's like, if you took everything that they had away, if you just took everything that they had and then you left them with $0 and you drove them off into a random field and you dropped them off on a field and you came back a year later, they could have made $1 million. How many people do I know that can do that? Zero. It doesn't matter what aspect of the market we're talking about. I don't know anybody that can do this other than me. That's what it looks like in reality. All right, in terms of even the financial, it doesn't matter. Like how many people do I know? It's like you could take away everything that they have and you could put them in a random location by themselves, and they will make they can make over $1 million in a year doing whatever it is that they do. It doesn't matter what they do. It does, whatever that they do, they're going to make over $1 million. How many people do I know that can do that? Zero. Other than me, it's nobody. That's what it looks like in real life. I legitimately do not know anybody that can generate money like me. Not a single person. And, and I've talked about this idea, like when you take a look at me and you take a look at what I'm doing, you have to understand that from my perspective, even if I was offered $10 million, I wouldn't do it. It just $10 million, because here's the thing. And I've already talked about, becoming a money printing machine. How do you become a money printing machine? The utilization of tax deductible assets, the knowledgeable appreciation of assets. And when you surround yourself with knowledgeable, you've knowledgeably collected assets, and you can knowledgeably appreciate them profitably. And when you surround yourself with these assets, then effectively you become a money printing machine, right? You can essentially print as much money as you want, right? I've talked about this in terms of an idea, and it's like and here's the thing, and I've already talked about the idea of a business, and it's like when you start a business, the equitable evaluation of your business is a multiple of the earnings, right? And the big idea of generating equity through a new business, and I've already talked about, you don't need to start a business to generate equity via a business. You don't need to start a business. You know, there are many ways to generate equity via a business. I've already talked about this in great detail too, right? If you buy an asset that is under appraisal value, if you find an asset that it's like, oh, well, there's a piece of land out here, and the land out here in this area is selling for $5,000 an acre, but I found this piece of land and it's selling for $3,000 an acre, and I called the owner and I asked them about the property, and the owner of the property told me that their husband died 3 months ago, and they're sitting at home. They have a 250 acre farm, and the wife is sitting at home with her mentally handicapped son, and she does not want to farm 250 acres, and so she's looking to sell half of her acreage, right? And she just wants to sell it. She doesn't really care that it's under market value. Well, if you purchase that land under market value, the difference between the market value and the purchase price is equity that you've essentially accumulated. You've gotten the money. The money now, the land now belongs to you. You purchased it for under market value. Congratulations, you generated money via equity. Another way that you can generate money via equity is what? Increase your cash flow, right? I've talked about this in terms of a rental property. You do not need to start a business to generate money via equity. You don't need to start a business. You can effectively buy a business and make the business do better. And if you make the business do better, then the equitable evaluation of your business is a multiple of those earnings, right? I've talked about all of these different ways that you can make money via equity by not starting a business. For the love of God, nobody should be starting a business, right? I've talked about this. Nobody cares about your business. The only time that you should ever really think about starting a business, from what I have seen, and me giving the utmost sincere advice and the utmost sincerity, the only time that anybody should ever be starting a business is when they can make a massive amount of money. That's the only time. Other than you can start a massive amount, or like, if you actually look at your what you're doing, and you've taken a look at it and you've gone, oh, well, I've taken a look at it and I can make a massive amount of money, then go ahead and start your business. But other than that, do not start a business. If for whatever reason you have convinced yourself, oh my God, I really want to run a business, then buy one. Okay, buy a business. You don't start a business. The only time you ever start a business is if you legitimately have looked at it and you realize that you can make a massive sum of money. That's the only time. All right, and why is that? Because if you take a look at business as a fundamental idea, business is a competition for dollars, and it is a competition on a global scale. All right, I mean, it is going to be the hardest thing you have ever done. Imagine starting a farm and then you have to do better than me. I would leave you for dead. You would look like a homeless person. I mean, it's not going to be good. All right, I mean, it's not going to be good. All right, I mean, business is a global competition for dollars. You don't get a participation trophy. Nobody cares what you think. I mean, you're going to be borderline homeless forever, etc., etc. The list goes on into infinity. All right. That's why you don't start a business. If you take a look at something that you're doing and you realize, hey, yeah, I can make a drastic amount of money, then sure, go ahead and start your business. And I've already talked about the big idea of equity. And like when you start a business, there's an equitable evaluation to your business. Granted that your business is actually producing a profit, right? It's actually creating earnings. And the evaluation of your business is a multiple of those earnings. And essentially, like even if I was offered $10 million tomorrow, it wouldn't matter to me. Why would I care? I can generate $10 million by myself in a year, right? And effectively what happens is, like, if I have a $10 million equity evaluation, and I was talking about this yesterday, but even right now, like if I have a $2 million equity evaluation, my net worth is evaluated at about $2.25 million. The banker looks at me and they say, oh, well, the reason why his net worth is so high is because he is farming And if he is farming and he is making this much money, he must be good at it, right? Money talks. I talk about this all the time. Money talks, all right? It's very important. You know, you're going to have to understand that money talks, all right? Money is money at the end of the day. And so the banker takes a look at me and they say, well, his net worth is so high because he is farming. And if he is farming and he is making this much money, then he must be very good at it. Let's just put 2 and 2 together, right? They take a look at my equity evaluation. They take a look at my cash flow and they say, okay, well, he is now in my office and he is wanting to buy this other asset. And, I listen to what he's doing. And he's given me his plan and, effectively, and then boom, they will hold my equity as collateral and then they will utilize my cash flow to float the debt service, right? That's the big idea. And effectively, when you get to a point where you're effectively bringing home an excess of about $10,000 a month, or if you're not in excess, if you're bringing home about $10,000 a month and you have an equity portfolio of $1 million or $2 million, you can effectively buy anything on the entire planet. All right, short of like drugs, alcohol, 15 girlfriends, a yacht, private jet, gambling, drugs, anything short of being an idiot. You can effectively buy anything. You want to go and you want to buy another piece of land and you want to buy yourself a new truck and you want to go and you want to buy yourself 100 more cattle, then have at it. Right? I mean, you can do all of that in 3 months. All right, the banker will give you the money. You can float the debt service with the money that you're making. You can hold your equity as collateral and then boom, congratulations, you can buy whatever you want. All right, and so that's the big idea. That's the idea of generating equity. Why should it doesn't really matter, why is equity so important? Because equity is effectively another way of saying that you have something that is as valuable as cash, but it's not cash. All right, and you can hold that as collateral for whatever you want to buy. They will hold your equity as collateral, and then you can use your cash flow to float the debt service. And in reality, the best thing that you can offer, or the best thing that you can do with money, is put money into things that will turn into more money. I put $1 into it and I got $1.50 back. I put 10 grand into it and I got 15 grand back. I put $20,000 into it and I got $23,000 back. It doesn't matter. And I've talked about this in terms of a broader idea. But it doesn't matter. As long as you are knowledgeable about how to make your return, it does not matter how large that return is. Granted that if we're talking about a very large amount of money, even if you're going to make like a 0.5% on it, even if you're going to make 0.5% on it, if we're talking about like $10 billion, that's still very good. I mean, as long as you are knowledgeably making a return on your capital, it does not matter how big or substantial, or it does matter how substantial it is, but it does not matter the numerical amount of your return. The percentage amount of your return does not really matter. As long as you are knowledgeably, making a positive return on your money, right? And so, I was talking about this, after a certain point, it's like, well, but that's the fundamental idea. And I was talking about this, but, and I don't want to sound like a horrible person. I don't want to sound like a prick, but you should not be looking at me and going, I want to do this, right? And I was talking about this in terms of an idea. Results are important, but in reality, results are not as important as progress, right? It's more important that you progress than it is that you have the results. And so it's like, when you take a look at me, and it's like and I've already talked about this, but let's say that you say, oh my God, I want to go and I want to be borderline one of the best farmers on the entire planet, like this guy. This guy, he may be one of the best that the world has ever seen, right? And you want to go and you want to do this. And I've talked about this, but it's like, are you sure that that's actually what you want to do? Because what you're talking about right now is you want to work 15 hours a day for the next 15 years of your life to learn how to farm. Are you sure that that is what you want to do? Because if that was what you wanted to do, then you would already be doing it. Right? I mean, it's like, and I've talked about this in terms of a conceptual idea. What you don't want to be is you don't want to be lazy and ambitious. You don't want to go, oh my God, I want to be a farmer like this guy, but I just want the results. I don't want to go through any of the process. I don't want to go through any of the progress. I don't want to have to get better on a daily basis for the next 15 years of my life. I don't want to have to work 15 hours a day, but I still want the results. Well, then throw yourself into a hole. It's not going to happen. You're not even going to get to the 10% mark if you live to be 5,000. All right. I mean, it's like, you got to really think about it. I mean, progress is actually far more important than the results. Results are important, but progress is far more important. And I've always said, in terms of you know, result, you know, you should be looking at people who are extremely successful. All right, I mean, and if you take a look at something like this, the success rate for something like this is 0.00001 to 0.00001%. If we ran the entire country through the process, only about 3,000 to 30,000 people would make it. That's it. It's not going to be like 1,000 people that make it. It's not going to be like 5,000 people. Or it may be like 5,000 people that make it. It's not going to be like 50,000 people that make it. It's not going to be like 100,000 people that make it in the entire country. All right. So I mean, the success rate is very, very, very low. It's very low. I mean, and it's like, when you know, and this is also what I was talking about yesterday. But you know, for whatever various reasons that you can come up with, everybody's gonna fail. Effectively, everybody's gonna fail. Effectively, nobody's gonna make it. All right, for whatever your various reasons are, everybody's gonna fail. It doesn't matter. All right, and so, you know, if we take a look at it for what it is, I mean, effectively, nobody's making it. All right, and if we take a look at these animals, I actually think that they're a little bit small. Like this animal right here, I think, well, that's number 19 right there. He's one of the bigger ones, and I was taking a look at him yesterday, and I think he's somewhere around maybe 550, 575. You know, I was taking a look at him yesterday. Oh, my electrician man is here. But yep, you know, he may be about 550, 575. Here's another one. It's about 550, 575. I got the man here who's supposed to be installing my cameras, and he's extremely late. And so, you know, he was supposed to be here at 8:30, and it's like 10:30. So, you know, but this is another one who's about 550, 575. And, you know, I want these animals, really, I want them close to about 650. And so I'm going to take a look at them and figure out, you know, what do I want to do in terms of their weight. And so, you know, the plan was I was going to take them to market here in about 2 weeks. But I don't think I'm going to do that. I'll have to take a look. I'll have to keep an eye on things, and I'm going to have to see what I'm going to do. I need to go and get my loan. And I actually wanted to show y'all my grass. I wanted to show y'all what my grass looked like, and I was going to go out in the front. But the electrician man is here, and I don't really want to go out there right now. So I'm going to go out to the back, and I'm going to show y'all real fast. The grass is maybe about, you know, about 7 or 8 inches tall. And I really want the grass at about 8 to 10 inches tall before I harvest it. And by harvesting it, I mean put my cattle on it to eat it. And I've always said that in terms of, like, if we were going to take a look at what I do, and in terms of, you know, in terms of all of this, you know, I am, you know, in terms of a reality situation, in terms of running cattle, I may be, you know, that you might be able to find 10,000 people on the planet that are as good as me at it. But in terms of growing grass, in terms of growing crop, I may actually be one of the best in the entire world. And you know, oh yeah, and I wanted to show you this too. But you see this right here? You see how on this soil right here, you see this? You see how if you look at it, the grass is barely coming up, right? I mean, it's almost all dirt. And the grain drill was actually running across the soil here. And you can actually tell that the ground has barely germinated any grass. And then look at the areas where I've actually prepared the soil. And you're gonna see why this is so important. You know, preparing the soil. Why is it so important to prepare the soil before you plant? Because you can actually see the grain drill come right here, and then it's going to hit this area right here, and then the grass just stops germinating, right? It just stops germinating. And if you take a look at it, this grass, you know, take a look at where the field was prepared, right? Where the field was plowed, and you know, the ground was you know, prepared properly. You know, I fertilized it, and I plowed it, and etc., etc. And if you take a look at it, you know, you can tell that the grass, well, I mean, this is where just the grain drawer was running, but this is where I actually started planting the grass. And if you take a look at it, I would say that the grass right now is maybe about here's a real good piece of it. I mean, maybe it's about 6 inches tall. And I want the grass at about 8 to 10 inches tall before I start putting the cattle on it. And with grass like this, if the cattle start eating it, they're gonna get gas. They're gonna get gas, and they're gonna get acidosis, and they're gonna start having diarrhea. And I've actually had an animal die from eating grass like this. And so I was like, you know, this grass, within about a week, I could probably start, probably about 7 days from today, I can actually start harvesting the grass. And if you take a look at it, it's kind of neat, right? I got to fill in some bare spots, right? I got some empty spots that I gotta run the grain drill over. And I'll probably run the grain drill over here on this area too one more time. And I'll be doing that this Saturday. And I got some bare spots, but this is what the grass looks like. And you know, in terms of grass, you know, like when you look at my business plan, and you know, if we want to go, I actually want to go and see what the grass looks like in the back. But if you take a look at what I do, and it's like, why am I getting in the backgrounding business? You know, why am I getting in the grass growing business? And I've talked about all of these various things. It's like the only time that you should ever really be thinking about starting a business is if you can make a large amount of money. Why do I say these things? And how do I, you know, maybe I can use my life as an example. And I can give you my perspective on things. And so you know, when I take a look at this, okay, so here, you know, I'll talk to you about the numbers, right? I've always said, and yesterday I was actually kind of well, okay, so this whole thing, all right, take a look at all of this, all right, take a look at all of this grass. You're gonna see all of this. All of this grass cost me $1,100. I still have about 4.5 bags of seed sitting in storage. And you know, the grass seed is you know, I put about $1,100 into this, and I planted all of this, all right. And I got another $100 worth of grass seed sitting in storage that I can come in and fill the blank spot, fill in the empty spots with. And you know, when you take a look at this, and I've actually collected information. You know, I've collected a lot of information. And the information that I've collected, effectively, if the price of urea is at about $5.50, I will actually be paying about $500 a month to grow enough grass to feed about 50 head of cattle, from about 200 pounds up to about 800 pounds. And if you think about that, 600, you know, that means that I put $6,000 into this. If I grow grass all year, if the weather is good for all year, which is probably not going to be. I mean, there's probably going to be a month or two in the winter where it's not good, and another month or two in the summer where it's not good. That effectively means I invested $6,000 to make like $190,000 back. All right, that's what it looks like. You know, and I've always said, you know, why is it so important to grow grass? You know, why is it so important to learn how to grow grass? Because when you learn how to grow grass, effectively you've negated the effects of the commodity feed market. That's the big idea. You're no longer reliant on the commodity markets to make money. You're reliant on your skill set to make money. That's why it's so important. Because now you don't have to worry about, oh my God, you know, is the price of corn going to go up? And if the price of corn goes up and the cost of cattle and the price of cattle go down at the same time, then I'm going to start hemorrhaging money, right? You're no longer having to, you know, sit there and fiddle fart with the commodity markets anymore. And so how do I negate the effects of the feeder cattle market, right? How do I negate the effects of the feeder cattle market? I buy and sell into the market very frequently. I buy and sell into the market every about 2 weeks, right? That's the big idea, because if I buy and sell into the market every 2 weeks, it doesn't matter, right? I mean, I've reduced the you know, I don't really benefit from the market going up, but I don't really get affected by the market going down either. And so if you take a look at the overall business plan, you know, it's like, well, I'm not affected by the corn market anymore. I'm not affected by the cattle feed market anymore because I grow my own feed, right? I grow my own feed. I don't need much equipment. I've already said that equipment in terms of my investment portfolio, in terms of my investment funnel, right? I've talked about my investment funnel. The grass in the back looks good too. I can actually see it from here. But in terms of my investment funnel, equipment is actually substantially lower than cattle or cattle feed. I've talked about it in terms of an idea, but cattle and cattle feed are right here, right? Imagine cattle was right here and the cattle feed was right below it. Equipment is like way below it, and then everything else is way below that. So it's not like 1, 2, and 3. It's like up here is cattle and cattle feed. A cattle feed, and then there's land. A little bit below that is land. And then after cattle feed, and land, then way down here is equipment, and then way down here is everything else. And so it's not like 1, 2, and 3. It's like at the very top is this, and then a bit lower, a good bit lower is land, and then way below that is equipment, and then way below that is everything else that I want to buy. And so if you take a look at what I'm doing, and you take a look at my grass, and I've talked about this like if I'm going to talk about grass, I mean, when it comes to grass, depending on what you're growing the grass for, are you growing the grass to harvest it for hay? Are you growing the grass to harvest it with the animals via grazing? Depending on what you're doing, depending on what's the consistency of your soil, what kind of soil do you have, etc., etc. Have you gone out to your field and actually diagnosed what kind of mineral deficiencies you have? Do you have, what kind of equipment do you have? Depending on all of these very different variables, you're gonna have to come up with a plan. And when you're watching me and you watch how I do things, you're effectively watching somebody who may be one of the best. And I am, I'm not trying to, whatever, I'm not trying to, be like, I'm not trying to brag or nothing, but I may effectively be one of the best in the world at it. I've actually not seen anybody that can do even 10%, not even 10% of this, and this is where I make my money. Like if you, and I've been talking about, I'm going to get in the backgrounding business, right? Why am I getting in the backgrounding business? Because if I run cattle on grass from about 400 to 800 pounds, I'm going to make a massive amount of money. That's why. All right. And, and I would suggest that if you're going to start a business, just understand nobody cares, right? I mean, if you really want to start a business, nobody cares. I mean, you're probably going to end up borderline homeless. It's going to be the worst idea you've ever had. If you actually want to start a business, then go and buy a business. All right. For whatever reason you've decided that you want to run a business. Oh my God, I really just want to run a business. Then go and buy one. All right. Go and buy one. And then, go and live your little Disneyland adventure. I mean, and if you do it properly, you can actually make money doing it. You can actually make more money than I make, probably. I mean, but it doesn't matter. If you do anything properly, you can make a massive amount of money. But this is a little patch of grass where I went over it twice. You can actually see I came in like this, and then I went across like that. And so the grass came in real thick right here. And so, but this, like when you watch me farm, you're effectively watching somebody who genuinely might be, one of in the top 5 for the best in the world at it. And chances are nobody's going to make it. And I've already talked about this in terms of a numerical percentage. The chances of making it to this point at anything are like 0.00001%. All right. And if you actually take a look at it for what it is. And so, You know, you should not be looking at my results going, I want to be this, I want these results. Because if you really wanted these results, you're going to have to work for 15 years and you're going to have to work 15 hours a day. And if you take a look at it for what it is, and you just take a look at the information for what it is, every single person, effectively everybody, is going to quit. At some point, everybody's going to quit. Effectively. You know, effectively, it's a 100% failure chance. I mean, the chances of anybody making it are effectively 0.0000001%. So for whatever your various reasons are, you're going to quit. Every single last one of you are. It doesn't matter what you think. You know, and, you know, I sincerely hope that you make it, you know, and I give you the best information that I can. I lead you the best, you know, I'm taking you, you know, I'm not maliciously leading you astray, right? I'm not telling you I'm not saying I'm going to put 100 pounds of phosphorus and potassium on my field and then I go and put 150, right? I'm legitimately giving you my information. I'm telling you how I do everything. You know, and I'm not maliciously leading you astray. I'm not like leading you the wrong way on purpose with the intentions of making you fail or anything like that. I mean, in all sincerity, I do actually want to see more of you succeed. I do want to see more people succeed, but you know, at the end of the day, success is you know, I mean, you know, like even when you're looking at this, I mean, the chance of making it are 0.00001% to 0.00001%, and so I mean, it's very low, and I mean, chances are you're not going to make it. I mean, and if you legitimately think that you can you know, do it, then go and do it. All right, I mean, let's see it. Nobody's stopping you. I mean, you know, from what I have seen throughout my life, I have actually not seen anybody even get to the 10% mark. And if you, you know, the success rate, you know, and this is also what I mean by, for whatever reason your reason is, don't tell me, I don't care what your reason is, you're going to fail. Effectively, everybody's going to fail for your various reasons, whatever your reason may be. You know, oh my God, you know, and then you're going to fail. Effectively, everybody. All right, 100% failure rate, borderline. All right, in reality, it's not 100% failure rate. It's a 0.00001% success chance. And so, you know, it's like if you, for whatever reason, you're going to quit. You're not gonna make it. Nobody is. All right, I mean, and so that's just I mean, and I hope that you do make it, but chances are you're not gonna make it. And you know, I would, you know, and I give you this information. I do the best that I can to give you the best information that I can. You know, I'm not being malicious. I'm not leading you the wrong way. I'm not giving you the wrong information on purpose. Right, I mean, I am giving you the best information that I can, and I am just making things as you know, straightforward as possible. Right, I mean, but you know, yep, it's borderline 0% success rate. And so that's it for me today, YouTube. Y'all have a good one.